And we have with us a Plateau-born, iconic and prolific film, television director and producer, Dimbo Atia. Welcome to
Thank
the
you very
program.
much.
I hope I got the name right.
Oh yeah, you got it very right.
Because some people were afraid they cannot pronounce your name.
You got it right. It's a pleasure to be
Yes.
here.
So just let's start. What is your earliest memory of directing? Let's start from
Ooh, I think it was a church project. I belonged to a youth group in church, and there was this idea. Somebody had a story, and instead of wanting to do a stage drama, the person felt if we made it into a movie, But at that time, I was probably the most creative person in the setup, and so I took it up as a challenge to film, to shoot. So I actually shot my first film with no experience. It was just ideas in my head. I remember one time, Izu Ojuku, the guy who directed Queen Amina project. He used to be a coverage camera guy who would cover events, and he came to cover my father's memorial. And so while we were home eating, we just started talking, and because I was curious about the work that he was doing, and we just got talking about filmmaking, the guerrilla way of doing it. And so I realized that I had some things in my head running. So when the opportunity came, I directed the first. It was horrible, but at least I got the opportunity to. But that kind of piqued my interest in wanting to make films. But it just didn't happen until later on I picked up. Yeah, so that's the earliest I had to. It wasn't a childhood dream. Like, trust me, I didn't grow up dreaming to wanting to be a filmmaker. I didn't know what that was. Never. It was never it. I'm not even sure I remember what it is I wanted to do. I was just one of those people floating. But then
you found your calling.
Oh, I absolutely found my calling would I call it by divine? I don't know how to put it though, but it just happened that I was in school at the Plateau State Polytechnic. I was a student of urban and regional planning.
Okay.
Yes, and
totally different from what
yes,
you're
completely way.
Different.
I did technical drawing while I was in Plateau College, Sharam,
okay.
And then when I went to to the Plateau State Polytechnic, the only thing I knew that was close to whatever I did was urban and regional planning. And a good friend of mine actually tricked me into doing that thing. His name is Henry Garba, we call him Buzu. He tricked me into going to urban and regional planning, and so I was just floating. Like, I really didn't know, till today I can't remember what I was taught in school. Then we now organized a riot in school.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I was head of 6 guys that organized riots in school, were expelled from school. So I was home practically doing nothing. Until my mother's friend, Mrs. Martina Kuri, who was heading the Nigerian Institute of Journalism at that time. The campus just opened and just came home, saw me loitering and just wasting my life, and told my mother, bring this guy, let him come and enter this thing.
Let me sort him out.
I literally dragged myself to school the first day. Like, I was really dragging, because in my head I'm like, journalist, what is that? From where to where now? Walked into the campus, had my first class with Malan Owl, which was radio production. Loved it. Guy had a strong Fulani accent, but he was intelligent. I just wanted to hear more. So I came back the next day, following day. My creative juices just started flowing. The guy saw it instantly. He gave me an opportunity to start a radio campus thing. Me and a guy called Kenzo Ngupa, who works for Plateau Radio Television Corporation now. And that's how it started. Like, I just started going there, and don't forget, I'd done this film thing with the youth, whatever. So while I was there, the conversations with other students, I found out that there was a film school in Jos. I had no idea.
Okay.
And then I was still a student at Institute of Journalism. I went to the film school to find out, and they told me they were admitting students. I bought the form, got an admission, and left the institute and just entered the film school. And that's how this journey started. It was never a childhood dream. It was just by some divine intervention, I guess.
Well, a lot of people actually believe that for you to be a good director or an excellent one or brilliant director, you have to have a certain level of madness. But there should be a method to the madness. But you have to have a certain level of madness. How true is that?
Well, it could be true, because having to be, when you're a director, you're pretty much the head of the creative, because everything you interpret, is what's in your head.
Exactly.
And a lot of times you are conflicting with other opinions around you. Like, truly, you as a crew member looking at you and thinking, why is he not doing it like that? Or the writer has an opinion, because writers tend to drift. They will jump a car from Third Mainland Bridge to enter but then you as a director, and so sometimes there's this conflict between writers and directors and how you interpret. But then truly, for you to be able to bring a world from a script to reality, you have to have some level of madness, truly, because you are literally displacing other ideas so that yours stands, and it makes it. And then a lot of times it can be conflicting, but when you have to resolve and insist that this is what is going, so a fantastic director is somebody who is disruptive, and that can come with a pinch of madness. I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, that's nice. That's nice to know. So, directing generally,
Yeah.
it involves a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And you, as a director, just like you said, you are the head of this incredible monster.
Yeah.
And everybody follows you because you direct. So, how do you juggle all these things together when you are like in a production, in the heat of it? How do you manage the cast, the crew? You have producers breathing down your neck. You have the executive producer. You have the writers bringing their own ideas. You have undirectable cast members. How do you manage that?
I think being a director could be as simple as frying akara, and could be as hard as being a military general. You know, it comes with the ability to lead. A lot of people think it's also say action and cut. No. A director has to be a leader. You must have the potential to lead. Why? Because, like I said, you're ahead of the creatives. People would be looking to trust your opinion about how it's interpreted. Don't forget that every other person has read the script, and every other person had entered their own world. You know, when you read books, the way you read a book is different from, let's say it's the same book. The world that you enter in is different from what she would see.
Yeah.
And so when three of us gather, we have seen this story in three different worlds. And if it's going to be my own opinion, at the end of the day as a director, I would have to lead the two of you to believe that what I'm putting out there is good enough. And so it comes with the responsibility of, first of all, understanding what you're doing. It's very important, because when a producer trusts you with a script, the idea is that I know that you can bring this world to reality. I know that at the end of the day, everybody that will see it will appreciate the fact that you totally understood what the writer is saying or what I want as a producer. And that comes with leadership. And so the moment you step into a set, it is total control. Like, for me, you know, a lot of people have opinion. Like I said, if you work with some celebrity actors and they think they know better than you, because in their head they already have, realized how this character should be, and then they come and you have a different idea and approach, and it's conflicting for them because they prep themselves to want to be like this, but then you want it in a certain way, you know, and so they're almost like pinching to tell you, why don't you do it my own way?
Exactly.
Sometimes it can be, but you know, when you step into a set or a location, and the first thing that I do is take command and take charge of the place, which is making sure that everybody knows that you know this job. So I walk into a set, and the first thing I want to do is read the script in front of the actors, and then have to, have them to read the dialogue, and then I get their opinion. So what do you think? What do you think is the context of this scene? That's if I have to. And then he tells me, oh, I think that the actor, and then I tell them no, but this is how I see it. And then I'm like, oh, now we get it. Then we go ahead. So you see, that's leadership. You allow them to express themselves, but at the end of the day, in a very subtle and smart way, you have imposed your own opinion as a director, and everybody's fine because, they see and you have to be very brilliant and intelligent when it comes to the dynamics of the scene. Every scene in every story has a DNA. Every director must understand that. There is no scene in the script, unless it is Jaga Jaga script. But every writer knows that for every scene that I put in a production, there must be a reason why the scene is there. It has a DNA. It connects from where you're coming from, it connects from where you're going to. And so if you do not understand the dynamics of that scene, it becomes a problem. Because everybody's looking at you and saying, he didn't get it too. And then you lose, the moment you lose your crew, you're done. Because they will gather during break time and talk about you in all the worst way, and people will not be paying attention when you're giving orders. The actors are on their phones, so when you take charge, you come in and they know that you know what they're doing. And of course, the only way you know what you're doing is if you read your script. You have sometimes, in a proper way, you're supposed to have like short list. This is what I intend to do. I want to do this close up. I want to do this extreme. I mean, in Nollywood, when you have to shoot 15 scenes a day, and your short list can go through the window because nobody has time to be going through your short list. The idea is that they believe that you walk into that set and you're giving instructions. Your DOP needs to know what you're doing. That's the director of photography. If you walk into a set and you say, oh, okay, this scene, I want to block it. I want this person to walk this way. I want this to do this. You have to instruct your director of photography. He needs to know that you know what you're doing. Because if he's frustrated about your camera angles and you don't even know it, and you tell him, you say, what do you think? Do your thing.
Exactly.
You know, the man says, oh, you're the leader. Why am I doing my thing? You know, I want the lights here. I want the camera here. I want this tight shot here. All of these are things that you must know as a director. But bottom line, you must be a leader and you must know how to lead.
All right. So when you get a script now and you look at it, do you sit down and you visualize the entire movie in your head, or do you take it scene by scene?
Oh, absolutely. You have to be able to read the entire script.
Okay.
You know, first of all, if I get to direct, I get the entire synopsis, the story treatment, which is like a 5-pager that gives you a proper idea of what the direction of the story is. And then, of course, you get to read the entire script. I have read the 400 episodes of both Halita and the Rishantes. As executive producer and the producer and the director, I have read 400 episodes because we did 240 for Halita and we're doing another 160 for the Rishantes. I've read every single script. It's very important because you must know the story. Of course, you have what you call the script supervisor who sits with you. Sometimes most directors become lazy because they have a script supervisor who interprets and tells them. So he just comes and say, what's this thing about? And then the script supervisor is supposed to let you know, oh, the dynamics of this scene is this and that.
And you just go with it.
You just go with it. Why? Because you trust that the person knows what, and you have to have a good script supervisor. If you are the sort of director who really doesn't have time to sit down and read, but why wouldn't you want to read a script that you're going to direct? So you must have a proper idea. For me, most times I do that. Why? Because I'm the executive producer. And so I'm dealing with network and all the, things that go about up there, how you run the production. I'm the producer and I have 4 other producers that I supervise. And then I am the director, I'm the art director. Don't get me wrong, I'm just good at what I do. So I style for my shows, I do edit supervising.
At this point, you might not even need a crew.
Well, I mean, if I could do everything by myself,
You're a one-man crew.
But at some point, you have people who do this and you just need to supervise. That's the other thing that works as an executive producer. You must have an element of everything. You must understand sound, design. You must have an ear for it. You have to be able to walk into your sound design studio and say, this doesn't feel right. Why is it, why is it distorting? Why is it this and that? Oh, the music doesn't feel good, and I'm good at that. I score all my productions. Like, I literally select music for all my production because I'm very passionate about that. So I get involved in everything, down to what the actors will wear. I shop myself for costumes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, don't try me. I like it.
No, I'm really impressed.
I literally
because there was a time where I did not understand.
I am in charge of every department of the production because it's very important as executive producer that I understand that. There used to be this joke in Nollywood when Nollywood started newly, and most executive producers didn't know, a lot of things. So producers or directors will come and tell them, oh, the color bars have finished. We need to buy new color bars. And they release money to go and buy color bars. So there's nothing like, so producers or executive producers have grown to a position where you know a bit of everything, so that when you're having a conversation with your team, they know that you understand their job and they feel that you respect them enough to understand what it is that they go through. So that's how it works for me,
Has there ever been a time where you're not the producer, you're just the director, someone brings you a script and you just, you find out that you end up changing the narrative of the script? Do you often have like producer-director conflicts with people?
Well, so the truth is I haven't really done a lot of work outside of what I've been commissioned to do. Okay. Like most times it's my own production, like Still Falling was my own story, my own production, my own investment, so I had total creative control. Sons of the Caliphate, of course, we had total creative control, but of course, was supervised by Ebony Life. Halita, it was an African Magic production, so of course, we had a commissioning editor who made sure that we stayed with the narrative, even with the Rishantes. I've done, there's a new film that we just shot, so a lady contracted me to do it, but she wanted me to produce, so I ended up producing and directing. It's called Henna, and it's coming out soon. Other than that, I haven't really done that, which you would, but a lot of time people come and say, we want you to write, produce, and direct. So it's a triple thing for me. I get to do all of that. So I haven't really had the opportunity to have a conflict with any producer as per the direction of, However, I think that if that's going to happen, might not be a problem because I'm really good at what I do.
So, Still Falling, is it a movie?
Oh yeah, so Still Falling is a movie. It's currently on. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
For anybody who wants to watch it, it's a faith-based story that we produced in 2020. Made about 32 million in the cinemas, and is currently on. It was voted the third best film in the first quarter of last year by the Film One publication.
Okay.
Yeah, it did an amazing run during the COVID period in the cinema as a faith-based film. That's the second highest grossing faith-based film in Nigeria after God Calling.
Okay.
Yes, God Calling did 36 million, we did 32 million. And when I say faith-based, it's a Christian movie.
Exactly.
You know, but then it featured Sharon Oja and Daniel Etimeffiong as lead characters. It's a story about It's a story about.
I'm very up to date.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's a story about forgiveness.
Okay.
It was really targeted at very young.
Daniel is a pilot.
Yes, Daniel, Captain Laggy, and then it's a story about forgiveness. Something happened.
I did say I was going to take a back seat in this conversation.
Look at me that way. I'm a movie fanatic.
I did say I was going to do that. Sons of the Caliphate.
Yes.
Halita, the Rashantis.
Yes.
These are all series.
Yes.
Would you say that is where you do your best work?
Well, that's what I've been doing for a long time now. It's the entire career. When I actually started, the first set of series that I did was for an NGO called Search for Common Ground. And then after that, we got commissioned to do Sons of the Caliphate season 1 and 2, which was like 26 episodes. And then, subsequently we got commissioned to do Halita. And so I have had a good run with making TV series, but then I've also, like I said, ventured into making, I've done Drawing Strength, which is my first movie that I did in 2018.
Okay.
It's also on Amazon Prime, and then Still Falling is our second movie, pretty much. But then, and we have 2 other commissioned TV series coming up before the end of the year. Okay. So I can confidently say I'm very, very, very strong in making TV series. It has become a thing, like I said. It takes a long time to get TV series done.
Yeah.
Currently, what we're filming has taken us the last 4 months. Constantly, every day coming to work, except for Sundays. And it hasn't been easy. Producing, but it's been fun. The thing about making TV or producing, it's almost like being on drugs. It's not a good thing. But when you're done, well, I was just trying to make it. When you're high on something and then suddenly you're not there again, you now start feeling like a withdrawal syndrome.
Exactly.
It happens to all of us. So we get so tired and we want to, and then the moment we leave, we now want to come back. So it's always been fun going back on set, getting commission, and the excitement of it is people calling to say, "Oh, we want you to do this," and then you're not like, "Oh, it's because I'm good at this," so people get the opportunity to go back on set,
All right. Well, speaking about the Nigerian movie industry generally, a lot of people actually believe that there's not enough investment, both financially and intellectually as well. I've watched Sons of the Caliphate. Brilliant work, by the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant.
Very brilliant.
And what I saw in Sons was a production that was from beginning to end. I mean, like from the start of the process, the script was fantastic. You could see that it was well researched. The cast was amazing. You understand? The direction, I didn't know it was you, but absolutely fantastic work there. You understand? So a lot of work went into that, and definitely would have cost a lot of money to do that and put that together. Are we getting there?
Frankly speaking, I think that we should have been there a long time ago.
Okay.
But then, are we getting there? That's still a very, very big question because the level of investment into the Nigerian film industry is still very poor, if you ask me, compared to what our colleagues in other industries are getting by, And I think the major problem is because we lack strong policies in the film industry in Nigeria. Of course, there are, but then they're not really. And when I say policies, I'm not even talking about rules and regulations. I'm talking about economic policies that will attract the right studios with the right investment to come into Nigeria. I mean, if you go to South Africa has a film industry that has a solid policy of rebate. So you could have $100 million to want to invest in a film in South Africa, and you get a massive rebate on that amount.
Okay.
And so it's attractive, for producers to go to South Africa to make productions instead of coming to Nigeria. There was a Captain America movie one time they had to shoot on the streets of Lagos, and instead of coming to Lagos to film with the natural
Georgia.
Lagos is a character on its own.
Exactly.
They had to now create a whole Lagos street. You know what it means to recreate a Lagos street in the Hollywood studio? Imagine if that investment came into Nigeria. But of course, they won't come. Why? Because when they search our policies, they realize that the stringent measures, these things are not, they're now wondering, if we come here ourselves, how much is the insurance going to protect us from? What's the government going to do for us? So all of these things are issues that I tell you for free, that every technical thing that we use, every equipment that you see here in this studio is not produced in this country. Everything was shipped into this country. Not one. I can bet you that even all the cables, except maybe the electric cable that you're using, none of them, every professional cable in this studio was bought from abroad. And I can bet you that people paid tons of money to clear them from customs. That is what we deal with as an industry. Nothing, including hard drives, is produced in this country. So we import everything. And that is also an issue. I remember I was going to, when we were doing the first season of, the first season of the Rishantes, we bought 200 terabytes capacity of drives for the production. When it got to customs, said, no, this thing, you people are going to retail it. There's no way you're using it for a job.
For a job,
and we had to pay so much money on it. Those are the things that we're dealing with. Nobody has gone out there to tell Sonny, can you come to Abuja, Port Harcourt, or Lagos and open up a store?
Yeah.
And we'll give you massive tax rebate on the equipment that you bring in. Do you understand? Nobody has gone to B&H or Black Magic and said to them, your products are consumed in Nigeria. We do not have an authentic Apple store in Africa, in Nigeria.
We don't.
Yes.
Like an official Apple store. Everything that you see are people who are retailing.
Yeah.
And then we use a lot of Apple products as editing, and my entire editing suite is the Apple products, and I had to buy them from abroad, ship them in, pay so much money. These are things that are making Nollywood not to grow. And the truth is that when you ask government, they'll ask you, who are we supposed to be talking to? That's the other issue, because who actually represents Nollywood? There is no structure, so to say, where people can sit down and decide the fate of Nollywood in a professional form. You go to other places, in South Africa, they have a union where you can't shoot more than 11, 12 hours a day. It's not possible. The union will drag you. But in Nigeria, you start shooting 7 a.m. and by 4 a.m. you're still in set. And we're now posting pictures and say set live. We're here at 12 a.m. Meanwhile, you're overworking yourself, and at the end of the day, you don't even get royalties at the end of the production. They pay you the money that they pay you, walk away. Even us producers, those are the issues we deal with. A lot of times we don't own royalties on the productions that we do. You're paid off and you go, In other places, you find producers who have produced and created earning royalties from the sale. I just heard what production recently got $200 and something million from Netflix for something. And I can bet you that those who have worked on it are definitely going to earn money because there's a new sort of...
I think they even get paid for reruns.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know they said he's Tony Stark, because I heard his wife is one of the Marvel directors, so he gets royalties.
But these are policies that things that, let's go to insurance. There's hardly any insurance policy or product, I don't know, of the ones that I've asked, of all the big names. There is no insurance policy that covers you as a filmmaker. That, for the last time that I know. Maybe something has happened recently, I'm not aware of, but that's the fact. While I was a film student in the New York Film Academy in California, when we went to do our final thesis, the school had an insurance policy worth $2 million, and we were all given a copy of that insurance policy. So you could easily walk into anywhere in California and say to them, we would like to film in your location. And the first thing they'll ask you, you have any insurance cover? Yeah. And we'll say, oh yeah, we have insurance cover. And that's it. You break anything, they know that insurance will cover it. In Nigeria, everybody's afraid of when you come and you want to, for example, if I say, oh, can I come and use your studio as a film set? The first people are worried about is somebody pushing this thing to fall and break. Because at the end of the day, to be a Bex, I'm sorry, sir. But if I know that I can walk in here, crack a screen, and the insurance will pay for it, I'll probably go to sleep and allow you people to do whatever you need to do. Those are issues that we deal with in Nollywood. So at the end of the day, when it comes to the issue of investment, people are afraid to put their money in. Why? Because there is no solid structure how to recoup those investments. I tell you that I had a problem with an investor recently concerning the investment that he did on Still Falling in 2020. We thought it was going to be that into the door and out of the door with the money, but it took us up till last month before we got any solid payment to pay the investor back. Yeah, from 2020 to 2022, 2 years. And so anybody that wants to invest into the film or the Nollywood industry has to understand that you are looking at 3 years before your return on investment. And the only reason why it's that long is simply because we're dealing with so many things. I mean, these online platforms can decide they want to pay you in 50 installments in the next 10 years. Nollywood producer is looking at, if I'm getting $1,000 every 2 months,
there's
no
no
that
problem
can
now.
cover small expenditure. Nobody is standing at the gate and saying, nope, you cannot treat our producers like that.
this,
You need to do better. You need to offer better.
But are there plans to do something like this?
Well, I mean, we're all roving. We're just chilling. Everybody's just moving. I mean, we're distracted by so many other things. These are issues that are not on the table yet. I think there was a time that there was an association, I can't remember what the name is, that was supposed to have taken up, supervised by the Ministry of Information. That still became a political issue. Those who are the so-called owners of Nollywood had issues with the formation. So at the end of the day, we're just sitting and we're looking at each other like carrot and rabbit. Nothing is happening. Everybody does whatever he wants to do, and that's it. You just go through censors board, they clear your movie,
and you just go to the market.
That's it. But in terms of the investment, it's been difficult for those of us who still survive in this industry. It's simply because we get commissioned by these platforms to create content for them.
Yeah.
But to say I have money to put into a production, it's hard. Why? Because production value is not cheap.
Yeah, still speaking on finance and all of that, how do you manage your budget? Because we're coming to an age where people are, when they are watching your movies, they are looking out for the quality.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
quality means spending a good sum of money. So for you, how do you have to manage the money that you're given to work with?
I have this mantra for a long time. Excellence is not cheap. It's very expensive. Anything you're going to do that's going to be excellent will cost you something. And so I've come with that mentality ever since I've been doing my work to say, for everything that I need to put into a production, has to be done right. It has to feel good. Now, truth is, as a producer, and really I just had this conversation with one of my producers called Mena this morning, like I was sitting down there, we're having, and I'm telling her we need to find other ways of getting things done. Why? Because we can't just keep spending all the time. A lot of times we're limited by the cost of, production, and so you have to find very smart ways of getting things, One of the many ways that I've realized that I could get things done is pretty much look out for when people are trying to dispose of things. Do you understand? Like if somebody is on a sale, if I have money to invest on something that I know in the future I'm going to have to use, I invest in that. That's a producer. So it could be a house that they're selling off, lamps, which is something that a lot of DOPs look out for. I go there and maybe it used to be 80,000 naira. Now the person wants to give it out for 40,000 naira. That's half the price. I buy them and I keep if I have to. I look out for fashionistas who don't repeat clothes. They wear it once and they don't want to wear it again. And they wake up one day and decide, I want to dispose of everything. You rush in there and you pack designers and everything and you stock them. When you're ready to use them, use them. But a lot of times, I really just make sure that everything that I've been given, I put into the production. It's very important that you do not take your audience for granted. Nollywood producers, we've taken the audience a long time. So the character is a billionaire, but in his living room, he has one cane chair and he's talking billions. That doesn't make sense at all. I have said to my actors and the crew people that I've worked with, one of the things that I make sure that I do is I put you in an environment where you realize that, this helps your character grow. So we have a replica of the office of the Senate President in the set that we're filming right now. And so every time Baba Ahmed walks into that set, she has this enormous responsibility. She feels like she's the Senate President. I can bet you, till today, I have never seen any crew or cast person sit on that chair. There is this thing about the way they revere that space. It is so genuinely what it looks like that sometimes we forget that Baba Ahmed is an actor. She really brings out that thing, and that helps her because the environment that she works makes her believe that she is the Senate President. And so she, pretty much just bring that out. And that's very important for all producers. A lot of times, producers are in a hurry to just take the job. and take the money, and in that money they want to buy Range Rover and pay for rent, and then still want to go and do the production, you know, and then you run out of funds to do the production value. A lot of times when I have to negotiate, in my head I'm thinking, how do we improve? How am I going to do better than the last one? So I sit down and negotiate in a way I know that I can afford the furniture, because I don't do replicas. Like, I don't go and say, oh, can you replicate this? No, I actually buy genuine furniture. Yes, I mean, maybe you guys come to the set and see. And I'm not bragging here, but the idea is that you want your audience to feel like, oh, this guy has a lot of respect for us. He has not played on our intelligence. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. And so most times we put in the investment into it. My accountant is probably one of the most frustrated person in the world, because I could literally be walking through a mall and I see something that would work in a set, and I'll just buy it. And the man will say to me, bro, this thing, you have budget. I say, find a way to pay for it, because I want this on set. And you know, pretty much he's really been, so he has kept up with the fact that, oh, this man can really just walk into a store. Like, I could be on social media and see a beautiful dress or a costume that will fit a character, and I'll just buy it. And when the character wears it, the person is excited, like, oh, I love my costume. And the moment they step into set, they just bring out, you know, the best. That's pretty much how I work. You know, a lot of times you wish that the money is more, so you could do more. But you know how when they say, if you're trusted with little, you know, you could be trusted with more.
More, exactly.
And so for any young producer out there, your integrity is very important when you're doing this job, because people want to feel safe that they've given you money and you've used that money well. At the end of the day, your name is very important. Forget what you're going to make from it. Don't get me wrong. I don't see myself as a businessman. I don't see myself as a creative, and that's the thing that my wife doesn't like. She doesn't like the fact that I don't have that business side. You know, and I had like, no, we need to be making the money.
Exactly.
But you know, the name is equally very important.
It is very.
You know, down the line, maybe in the future, our children will grow up one day and say, oh, your dad is this. That's what Kunle Afolayan feeds off, because his father had kept a reputation as a fantastic filmmaker, and now the guy is rolling on that, you know, hoping that in the future, you know, people will roll on this name and say, oh, you call this name and open doors for you. That's very important for me.
Okay. You touched on something that's very important, and that's production value.
Yes.
You watch a lot of Nigerian movies, and no, seriously, I've said this a lot of times. I have given Nigerian movies so many chances to impress
you.
But unfortunately, it doesn't work. There's this one, when you said you scored your movies yourself, I was really impressed by that, because there's this particular one sound like this that every Nigerian movie seems to have. I know
they're even better. Before,
I know people know that sound. There's that particular music. Every Nigerian movie has that.
Yep.
And you just look at it, and the first thing that comes to your mind is, I need to do something else.
Yeah.
I need to go and sleep.
Yeah.
Or wash my clothes, or do something else other than be here.
Yeah.
And it happens to a majority of Nigerian movies. And we say, second largest movie industry, this, that. But we shoot movies in 2-3 days, and we just push them out there. And it's really, really terrible. But every once in a while, you see a production and you go,
you like it.
That's it. Because it's not that we don't have the talent. It's not that we don't have the ideas. What is actually wrong? Are we so concerned? Just like you said, you're a creative person. The business aspect is taking a sort of a backseat when it comes to things that you do. So you're after the finished product. You just want to see it, watch a movie that you've made and enjoy it yourself. Are we so blinded by just want to get this thing out there and make money?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, in answering that, the average filmmaker in Nollywood is self-funded. A lot of times we pay for our own production. There is no filmmaker that walks into a bank and says, oh, I have this great story and I need 50 million naira of your money. I'm going to bring it back in 2 years. You are dreaming. Why? Because it is, this industry itself has not structured its way in a way that the banks are interested. There was a time that they wanted to trust us with money when Eco Bank had some project way back. But that thing fell apart and all the banks ran away. So now you can't walk into an investment place and say, oh, you guys have money to like fintechs or whatever. No, because the tangibility of it is not there. You've not shown proof that you can bring back my 50 million naira. That's the first problem. So a lot of times we fund our project.
Okay.
And a lot of times you can wake up and say, oh, I have 15 million naira. If I put it into this production and I sell it, and I make another 3-4 million naira on it, that's enough profit for me. 15 million naira gets you to shoot 10 days. And you're rushing, as a matter of fact, you're rushing to shoot it in 7 days because the lesser days for you,
the less
it cuts down on cost. So those are the issues that we deal with. The other problem that we have most times is the writing, because there is no film without a story.
Yes.
So Nigerian producers have had to hire writers who are very ambitious. So a writer will write a story and tell you, oh, they were driving and then the car skid off Third Mainland Bridge and entered the water. Okay. With your 15 million naira, how is that going to happen? Like, how do you even if you were going to generate that from CGI, that's a lot of money to do it. You do not even have the capacity, the editing capacity. You don't have light, because in the middle of rendering this thing, they take light. That's why Obi Emelene had to go to Bonny Island to render his movie, The Last Flight to Abuja. It took him 3 days to render that movie. And the only place in this country that has constant light that doesn't blink is Bonny Island. Me, I know that because I lived in that place for 5 years. You know. So those are the issues that we deal with, first of all, as producers. But then the truth is that we have come to a place where even the audience are just comfortable with just consuming it, because there's no option except, of course, Hollywood. And so locally, they're used to it. Like, you just come and you just produce whatever and you drop it. Like I said, a billionaire who is talking about $50 billion comes to his house and is a cane chair. That does not make sense. And so for me, what happens is my production actually starts from the storytelling. Oh, you see me in the writer's room, I am checking writers. Because a certain writer will be bringing an idea talking about, oh, the person went to California. How are you going to go and shoot in California? Do you understand? Yeah. So you bring them to Earth. Because if you leave writers, they will fly. As a matter of fact, they will take you to moon if you allow them, because their imagination is broad. Every writer has a broad imagination. So you want to make sure that you tailor them to the space where you know.
Exactly.
I mean, for the example, when we sat down in the writer's room for the Rishantes, we knew every time I tell them, oh, the asset that we have will not accommodate that. They will tell me, but can you? I say no. So, writers, they go to a place, they get blocked, and then they just create one new character just so they find a way out. Like, you can't try that with me. Because we're limiting this into 11 characters. You can't go beyond 11 because I can't pay more than 11. So you have to check, and that means you have to be part of the writing process. So even if you've solicited for pitches, somebody bring a script for me, you have to read through it and you have to say to yourself, oh, let me be honest about this. This story is something that can accommodate my budget. That means you're able to execute it. Don't go and carry something that has 15 story days. What that means is that, oh, so this day ended, the story continued the next day in the morning. Do you know what that means? That means they're going to have to change costumes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have 15 story days, it means that your character will have 15 costumes to wear. And if you don't have the budget to get 15 costumes, why are you not looking for a story that only has 2 story days?
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, there are stories that are told in 24 hours.
Exactly.
Oh, the car hit this guy, he fell down while he was standing up, somebody had dropped something in his pocket, he walked away, he did not realize that something had been transferred to him. They track you to he's walking his life, and then they just started chasing you. The entire day, it gets to the night, everything is resolved in 24 hours.
Yes,
what that means is that every character on that story wears one costume.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't need to change it.
You save yourself money in buying too many costumes. But imagine a story where you have 30 story days.
You have to sleep and wake up.
Sleep and wake up. One scene is one story day. They wake up, and then you're wondering why you're buying 30 shoes, 30, that's a lot of money. So when you're writing stories, you have to be part of the process, because it's very important that you know what your budget can do. As a producer, you don't just sit down and take a script, and then the script says you have 30 elderly people in the council. Where are you going to get 30 elderly people to sit down in the council? So you get to that point where you just find 2 and you say, hey, let's just do it like that. We'll do whatever, So it's very important that I keep telling people 99.99% of filmmaking is preparation. The other 0.001% is executing it. Because it's just like cooking, or it's just like making soup. You don't put oil on the fire before you start going to the market to go and buy it. By the time you come back, you burn down the house. Share the idea. First of all, you wake up and decide, I want to eat seafood okra today. That's the first place. So in your mind, now start looking there. Your mind now start going to, oh, do I have enough money to eat this thing? oh yes, I have like 20K in my account, you can do this. Then you take up. You first of all you shower, then you go to the market to go and buy the seafood and everything. Then you come back home. You clean and you prep and you do everything. You lay everything. Then you start mixing it. Then you have your seafood okra. Then you make your eba, pounded yam. Then you eat your food. That's filmmaking. Because when you have everything in part, the eating is easier because you now get what you've desired. So a lot of time people just wake up and it's while they're on set that they are correcting script. It's while they're on set that they are thinking about what to do. As a matter of fact, somebody that walks past you, there's this famous producer. Once you come to visit his set, he was out there and look at him like, Baba, you there? And I just enter the scene.
Just do this.
It was not planned. The guy just walked into the scene, and you know it happens.
Yeah,
you know, Nollywood happens. But preparation, when you prep and you make sure that everything is right, at the end of it, you get it right.
Right.
So for young producers, for people out there, make sure that 99.99% of the time you have prepped these things before you jump into film. That will save you a lot of money. That will save you a lot of time and will save you a lot of resources.
Okay.
So I was going to ask, among Khalita, Sons of the Caliphate.
Please don't ask me which is the favorite.
No. I won't even ask because I mean, I know you tell me you don't have a favorite.
No, I don't.
It's hard for you to pick
I
one.
do not have
normal.
a favorite.
But which of the sets cost you more?
Ooh. Almost all of them, because they were all filmed and shot at a different time in the economy of this country. You understand? So at the time in which I was filming Sons
So when
of
you
the
adjust for
Caliphate,
inflation,
this was like what, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was good budget. I mean, probably a lot of people weren't filming with that sort of budget I was filming at that time. When we got to do Halita, it was good budget because a lot of people weren't filming with that kind of budget at that time. And when I'm doing the Rishanti now, as much as I wish it was better, you know, it still accommodates the project to the point where we do the most that we can with it. You know, so for every time, you know, the thing evolves. It depends on who you're dealing with because, like again, I said, your integrity is very important because once they trust you with one kobo,
yes,
and they see how much work you've done with one kobo, somebody will tell you, they give you this small money and you're going to go and overdo. You know, a mentor of mine, Mr. Danny Kure, had taught me one time. He said, whenever you have a client and you agree on terms, you know, what you have to do is surpass the client's expectations. So you under agree and overperform.
Okay.
So when the idea is that I'm just going to do this furniture, these 3 pieces of furniture, and he comes and he sees an extra stool, that automatically takes him to a place where he knows, oh, I can get more value from this person. You're not necessarily chipping yourself, you're keeping a client going. So for every time that African Magic has called us to say, come and do this project, we have executed to a point where we've won the AMVCA, and they can comfortably just recline and say, oh, we have this new idea called Dimbo. And so you have a retainership that happens. At the end of the day, what are you doing? For me, for anybody who wants to make money, plenty money, maybe that might not be the route. But for me, being an Abuja-based producer, what it does for me is it creates the opportunity for filmmakers around here to get to be on a project for 4 or 5 months. And they get paid, so their families are taken care of. I get to yet again put up another story and have, I mean, for the entire time we've done Halita and the Rishantis, we've had stories about how men come back home early because they want to. So it's become a family time for her. There was a lady in Port Harcourt that sent us a message. She was emotional about how her husband never used to come home early from work. He would always, you know, gallivant and come back in the night.
Late, yeah.
But since she introduced him to watching Halita that time, this guy gets home early to catch the show, and it has become a family thing. They sit down with their children and they watch it.
Yeah.
This is just one out of so many of those testimonials. So that gives me satisfaction as a producer. You know, so that's pretty much how it works.
Absolutely brilliant.
So,
it's been an amazing conversation. Absolutely brilliant
Thank
conversation.
you very much. I've had fun being here.
Yeah, I actually. We look forward to having lots of these conversations.
Please, anytime.
Because really, when you see the quality of the work you do, it's actually amazing to be able to get to have a glimpse into the mind that produced something like that.
Thank you very much. I
So
appreciate that.
really great work, absolutely brilliant. It's been wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And,
It's been fun being here.
Yeah, and I look forward to coming on set.
Oh, please.
Yes,
Anytime. You send me an invite
to
and
see,
you can come
to see
what
that
we're-
brilliant mind at work.
Come see what we're doing. Anytime, please.
All right, so thank you very much
Thank
for
you
coming on the
very
show.
much.
All right, still Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. We'll take a short break right now, and when we return, the show continues. Do stay with us.